In this week's news roundup, rates remission for Tasman residents, Newson Mayor responds to airport criticism, and crime reporting line rolled out in the Tasman District. The Tasman District Council has adopted a rates remission policy to come into effect before July 1st this year to enable affected ratepayers to be able to apply for a remission in the current year. The policy will enable residential landowners who have had the value of their land increase due to council-initiated rezoning to have a resultant increase in rates remitted until the land is sold or its purpose changed from its role as the principal place of residence. Driven by the rezoning of land in Richmond West, two policy options came out of the meetings, with the residents directly affected by an increase in rates reflecting the new commercial value of their properties. Tasman residents were given the choice of rates remission or postponement policies through the annual plan process. The majority of the submissions received supported the remission option. The new policy will have a number of criteria to ensure it benefits those in need while limiting the impact of other Tasman ratepayers. Meanwhile, Tasman District has just confirmed its support for a new culvert capable of handling 1 in 100-year weather events in Richmond's Champion Road to assist the local stormwater system to deal with heavy rain and flooding. Significant flooding occurred in December 2011, which saw slips above Richmond and Stoke deposit mud, debris and gravel into the system the culvert has had difficulty coping with in further major events. This was displayed with the recent rain event in April this year, which resulted in a number of houses being flooded. And among those who received Queen's Birthday Honours last weekend, Craig Potton has been made a member of the Order of Merit for services to photography and conservation. Meanwhile, Smoke-Free Rockwest founders, producers and organisers Pete Rainey and Glenn Common have also been made members of the New Zealand Order of Merit for their services to the music industry. Latest figures show the asking price for properties and building consents in Nelson and Tasman have increased in recent months. The mean asking price for homes in Nelson, Tasman grew 1.6% in May 2013 compared with the previous month to $263,000 according to the New Zealand Property Report for May. New property listings fell 14.4% to 234 homes listed on the market last month. Meanwhile, building consents are also up in Nelson, Tasman. 51 new dwelling units were authorised in April 2013 in Nelson, Tasman, according to Statistics New Zealand, compared with 26 in the same month last year. The value of consents was $11 million in April this year and $5 million in April 2012. Nelson Mayor Aldo Miccio says Nelson Airport is a valuable regional asset which performs well for its shareholder, the region's citizens. Mayor Miccio has responded to criticism of the airport contained in a submission to the Draft Annual Plan 2013-2014. The airport is jointly owned by Nelson City and Tasman District Councils and last year returned $412,000 to each council. Steve Cross told councillors during recent submission hearings that the airport was underperforming and should raise its aeronautical landing fees to give a better return. Mayor Miccio says the setting of fees is determined by a prescribed formula, which has recently been at the centre of a Commerce Commission review. He says it's not just a matter of setting a figure. He says ratio of passenger numbers, flight rates, aircraft weights and the wear on runways are just some of the factors taken into account in this complex formula. He says on the basis of net profit after tax, Nelson Airport has the fourth highest return per passenger after Auckland, Queenstown and Christchurch, all airports with substantial numbers of international passengers, which Nelson doesn't have. Nelson Airport is also the fifth highest return per passenger for dividends after Auckland, Queenstown, Christchurch and Wellington. Earlier this week I had the opportunity to talk with Aldo Miccio about deliberations on the Draft Annual Plan. Now we'll just move over to the outcome of recent deliberations on the 2012-2013 Draft Annual Plan, and it had proposed an average 2.4% rates rise. However, councils managed to achieve the lowest rates rise in 20 years with a preliminary figure of 2.1%. How did council reach this percentage?
Yeah, I was always confident that we were going to be able to do better than 2.4. I mean, we've got a new CEO, and we're working really hard to cut costs, cut things that aren't important, just get rid of the needs, get rid of the wants as opposed to the needs. So I was always confident we'd go under it. So going under 2.4 to 2.1, was a big task, because we had about a 1% flood event on top of that to counter with as well. So we were just reprioritising, and like I said in my statements around getting our debt down from our forecast debt by half, it's about just getting on with the jobs you can do. For the last few years, we've put $50 million capex program, capital budgets program, and we've only achieved a $30 million every year. So now we've actually just put out in our budget a $30 million capital project and get done what we say we're going to do, rather than wait for things that we never get finished. So 2% is great. Debt down to forecast to be down to 73 million, and we're going to keep that going. This is just a start of the improvements that we can make at the council. There's a lot more to be done. We've also put extra money into the stormwater to find better solutions and bring forward projects we had in stormwater. We've increased our disaster fund, recovery fund that we put aside every year. So we're actually doing more. We actually put a lot more in, and we still achieved 2% and still reducing debt. Trafalgar Centre's going ahead, which is great. World Cup, will go ahead, which is great. We're starting our Go Nelson initiatives, integrated management of our men's facilities, starting with the Theatre Royal and the School of Music, which is great. We're bringing forward investigating more CBD enhancement packages for next year, which is great. And we've got the Opera in the Park on again next year, not every second year. So it's been a great budget, a great achievement, and everyone should be very pleased of what we've done over the last, 6 months in getting this budget together.
And in addition to those deliberations, a disaster fund will come into effect, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So we're increasing our disaster fund. We've had one in the past. We're increasing the amount that we put into it. We're paying off the stormwater event in 1 year, the one we just had, and that adds 1% to the rate, so we still managed to keep it at 2%. So it's been a really good budget to actually have all those improvements, all those safeguards, making sure the core infrastructure is the best it can possibly be. So we've increased stormwater, we've increased our disaster fund.
Great. And Council's Chief Executive will be auditing the Heart of Nelson strategy and its various projects, which will be looked at afresh.
Yeah, that's right. I asked the CEO a few weeks ago to have a look at the Heart of Nelson project. It seems to have stalled a little bit around Montgomery. We still want to go ahead with that, of course. That was like a technical stall on it, and we'll get straight into that. Bring forward some projects. We've got some budget in there to do that, and we just really want to make sure the CBD is operating as best it can be from a council's point of view. It's probably the premier boutique entertainment shopping district in the top of the South Island, and we just want to make sure that it just keeps on being as best it possibly can be. And we've also put increased funding for Christmas decorations this Christmas, so we're going to have some decent Christmas decorations.
Very nice. And what's happening with the Mediterranean Food Warehouse?
Mediterranean Food Warehouse, the building is earthquake prone, so Mediterranean moving into their building, a new building on Collingwood Street, and that building there will be earmarked for demolition. Fantastic.
Okay, great. Not great, but understandable. The Nelson City Council building's been copping some flack lately, and just moving over to that subject, by the way, It's hardly going to put people off coming to Nelson, though, is it?
Oh no, it's we didn't build the building, we're in the building. We don't have to be in the nicest building in the city. The building's practical, does the job, it's got the highest earthquake strength of any building in the city. Some people might not like the look of it, but there's plenty of things that we don't like the look of, but that's okay, it's there. It's a significant building in the CBD, and it's there to stay for some time.
And you can always have a sign on the building saying it only gets better from here?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah. I'm sure we might be able to, we'll get Mike Ward to come up with some designs of how we could make it look better for as little money as possible.
Right.
But, the reality is, from a council and a public point of view, I don't think it's something the public wants us to really spend money on trying to make a council building look better. So
exactly,
it's unique. It gets people talking. That's one of the good things. The Opera House in Sydney, everyone thought it was ugly when it first got built. Now it's a natural heritage.
That's right.
A World Heritage building. So look, beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Exactly. Hey, well, great. You have a fantastic day, and thanks for your time today, Aldo.
Thanks, Joya.
Okay, see you. Recently, Maidenland's Chrissy Small headed out to ask the public what they thought of the Nelson City Council building.
One of the buildings that's been under a lot of criticism is the council building, which used to be the old post office building with the clock tower. Do you think that's an attractive building?
Probably not, no.
So as a first impression for visitors to Nelson, that's right on the doorstep by the information centre where the buses pull up. Do you think that's a good example of Nelson architecture?
Probably not, considering now when you're looking around, especially if you come into the main part of the town. And there's a lot more to see, especially here in Nelson. But like you said, first glances, a lot of people come in, they'll take that as the first look and think, what have we got ourselves into here, basically. But aside from that, saying that, I know a lot of the English people love the old the setup, and so that some it might actually please some people, but and then saying that it might scare away some people as well.
Would you call that an attractive building?
No, I wouldn't actually.
Do you think it's a good example of Nelson architecture for visitors arriving to the city?
No, there's far more beautiful historic buildings around the city. It's one of the best kept, shiny, polished, beautiful, clean cities in the whole of New Zealand, which is why I moved here.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Well, not really being into architecture. I suppose, yes, it would be, yes.
Do you think it's a good example of Nelson's architecture when you come in and see that big clock tower on the right?
Yes, why not? Yes.
I think it's ugly.
Yeah?
I do, yeah. I don't like modern buildings. I like the old character of the places. And they're getting rid of all of it lately and putting up big squares, and I don't like it.
No. Do you think that's a good representation for Nelson?
Not at all.
No?
Especially when you go to other centres.
Yeah.
And they're often quite stunning, and makes a statement. So,
So
personally,
Nelson has some great old buildings.
They
here.
do, yeah. It doesn't really fit in with that, although I can see how, it sort of reflects the era, which is good too. You've got to look after that.
Yeah.
But for Nelson, everything's quite vibrant, and it sort of doesn't quite get there.
Okay.
I think it looks awful.
Right.
I don't like it.
Not a good representation for Nelson.
It looks like it should be in a city, London or something, in a housing development.
Right.
Horrible. Don't like it at all.
The nationwide rollout of the crime reporting line has arrived in the Tasman District starting on June 5th. The new reporting and advice line will provide the public with faster and more efficient service for non-urgent or historic complaints. Area Commander Steve Greally says the benefits are twofold. The public gets a better, faster service, and frontline officers' time is freed up so they can spend more time out on the streets. Rather than having to come to the station, the public can use the 24-hour reporting line and have it all taken care of in one phone call. The complaint acknowledgement form required by insurance companies can be generated and sent out straight away via email or post. This week I had the opportunity to speak with Area Commander Steve Greally about his views on crime in the Nelson region. We're very fortunate to have in the studio today with us Nelson Bay's Area Commander Steve Greally. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks very much, nice to be here.
Fantastic to have you here. Hey, look, you've been here now for about 2 years, haven't you?
Yeah, around about 18 months or thereabouts. Yeah.
Sure, so you took up the role, you were at Counties Manukau for how long?
Counties Motueka for about 12 years, and that was the first part of my career. So this is the first time I've actually been in South Auckland, which is a real big culture shock for me. So, but it's a good one. It's a very good thing to do.
So what's your first impressions of Nelson? What were they?
Well, to be honest, when I think before I got to Nelson, I was probably a little bit ignorant of what Nelson was about. I knew it was a smaller city, I guess, in the South, on top of the South, but with quite an affluent sort of a population. That's true, but I had no idea about the alcohol issues of Bridge Street. I'd sort of heard a little bit in the background, but I actually hadn't seen it before. But generally speaking, I'm really impressed by everybody in Nelson. It's a great place to live. Certainly a great place that you'd want to bring your kids up in a very safe environment.
Fantastic. So how does Nelson compare with the rest of the country, crime-wise?
Crime-wise, we do have lower crime rates, which is a good thing. However, there are some types of crime which we are quite high in. Theft ex car, I think we've done quite a big media strategy around that. That seems to be our main problem, apart from, of course, the alcohol-induced harm that we actually get out of Bridge Street and other parts of Nelson Bay. It's not just here, it's also Tasman, parts in the Golden Bay and Murchison and Motueka.
So why do you think we do have these alcohol-related problems in Nelson?
Well, it's a hard thing. I guess when you look at what Nelson is, you've got your holiday periods, your New Year's, those sorts of things. It's a great attractor for young people to come down here and perceivably just go out and on a big party. I think we've had that problem a little bit before because of the police deployment model. And what I mean by that is most of our calls for service have come, we know that happens on a Saturday night, that's when we're needed, but that's not always when we were deploying our staff, and that's changed, as you would have noticed. So I think there's a lot of young people here, there's a lot of seasonal people that come in for the New Year's, but also for the fruit picking and all that sort of stuff. And I guess a lot of those visitors don't own here, so they don't have much of a responsibility in their minds as to how they leave the place. It's they don't have that vested interest, I guess.
So it really comes down to an individual responsibility, doesn't it?
Yeah, in parts I think while everybody's sort of got to, they certainly have to take responsibility for their own actions, but I think collectively as a community, and when I say community I'm talking about police and the general population, we're all together in this, we all live here. I think we've got to take responsibility too, and that's what we're starting to see is happening.
Definitely, you know, we're really seeing the police using different strategies to really attack that alcohol, you know, the alcohol situation, and it does seem to definitely be improving. My personal impression is it has been very much improving in Nelson City. And would you say that's true?
Yeah, well, it's nice of you to say, and we do get a lot of that feedback. Our statistics actually tell us that it is getting safer. Our confidence surveys around the place, I know that we've increased from 63% to 79%, so that's a 16% increase in people who say they are safe or very safe in the CBD at night, which is an outstanding result. We know that accident and emergency are reporting lower numbers of people that are actually presenting with alcohol-related harm. But not just that, they're also reporting a decrease in the severity of the injuries of people that are presenting, which is a great thing for us.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, it is becoming a lot safer, but it's not just police that are doing that, it's the licensees are doing it. They're taking more responsibility for the way they run their businesses. We've held them to account on that, and they are pulling their weight in most cases. The behaviour of people using the bars at night, that is changing. I think when I started, we had we traditionally, when we got all our staff out there on a night shift, we traditionally got around about 50 people arrested for low-level disorder, alcohol-related stuff, breach of liquor ban, and minor assaults and things, but that has dropped significantly. My staff now find it hard to find people who are perhaps breaching the liquor ban. So that's carrying open vessels of alcohol in those banned areas. And the problem with that has been that when we'd never get to these people with our old deployment model. And so when they finished their drink, they'd put the glass bottle down or whatever and they'd walk away from it. But that bottle was then able to be used as a weapon by an intoxicated group or individual thug, whatever, to create a victim in our patch. Not acceptable. But now we're only finding maybe 2 or 3 of those a night, and we're looking. Our staff are looking hard, but it's just come right down. Behaviours are changing, so it's outstanding.
Fantastic. And I think that, you know, part of it is that, you know, really the communications are so good, you know, that really the messages that are going out sometimes gives a perception to the public, you know, that we really have worse issues than what we actually have. But I guess when it actually happens, when an assault happens, it affects the whole community.
No, it really does. You just have to look back to well, in the Victory community, they've had a couple of high-profile assaults or homicide and things, and because of the nature of the community, they care, which is a fantastic thing to see. I haven't always seen that in the areas that I've policed, but they do care, and from that point of view, it does. You did right. It impacts, and some people take that personally, which is a great thing from my point of view, because I see that it's not just police that are in this fight. Everybody's running around, which is outstanding.
Brilliant. Any other issues that Nelson's facing that we really need to tackle as a community and not just expect the police to, you know, be there for it?
I think, yeah, absolutely. I alluded to it before, the theft ex-car, that's what we call it. What it is people breaking into vehicles and stealing laptops, wallets and those sorts of things. It's surprising how many people leave their vehicles unlocked. And we came up with a little bit of an initiative probably about 6 months ago. You know, you lock your car or we'll knock on your door. And while that wasn't well received, they had a very poignant point to it, and was deliberately take responsibility for your gear. That's a real bugbear. We have a 9 o'clock meeting every morning, and we go through the list of what's happened in the last 24 hours and things that we need to be across to prevent it from occurring in the future. But that's really frustrating when we see vehicle was unlocked, laptop was in plain view. Oh, it's very frustrating, and it's not just a police thing to do. But yeah, I think the main message, I guess, is New Zealand Police, and I've spoken about it before, has moved to a national operating strategy of prevention first. No longer is it good enough for us to respond to crime and say that's what we're going to do and deal with offenders. This way we prevent crime. So it gives us a new purpose. I've actually just come back from the Area Commanders Conference in Wellington, and where we discussed these things with the Commissioner and things. It was great. The purpose for New Zealand Police is to ensure that every person who lives, works or transits through New Zealand is safe and feels safe. And there's a lot of ways we can do that. The 3 main ways we do that relates to the 5 drivers of crime. We concentrate on those. So alcohol, which we're doing on Bridge Street, families, youth, road policing, as well as organised crime and drugs. Those 5 areas we really concentrate our efforts. We also changed our mindset in the way we think and view and deal with victims of crime. The whole objective is to reduce victimisation.
Nelson chef Paula Sayanthian-Nam only narrowly missed out on the MasterChef New Zealand title last weekend. It was won by Erin Brunet of Raglan. Despite her loss on the night, Paula's outstanding finesse at cooking will not go to waste. It's understood she's opening a cafe in Nelson next month, aptly named Paula's Plate, which will open in the former Pomeroy's premises on the corner of Rutherford and Hardy Streets. After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up around the region.
For the past 10 years, the up-close and classical company of Dance Nelson, led by Louise Hawke, has created the very best ballet performances for the people of Nelson. Dance Nelson has given Nelson girls the rare opportunity to dance to a high standard and to perform on stage with international dancers. Several of these students have gone on to a successful international career for themselves. Now, Dance Nelson needs your help. The ballet studio that brought you all of these shows is looking for a new home. Our lovely studio has been earmarked for earthquake strengthening, and we have to move out. Can you help? Do you know of a space, preferably in Nelson, that would be suitable for us to lease? The space that we require is at least 100 square metres of open floor for the dance studio, and some rooms for changing and storage of costumes. The ceiling needs to be high enough for a dancer to jump without bumping her head, and of course, we have a very limited budget. If you think you know of a space that might be suitable for the studio, then give Keith a call on 021 528 832, 021 52 88 32.
Everybody has a story that needs to be told. At the time of death, we reminisce, we honour, we remember.
My family have been helping Nelsonians tell their stories with respect and dignity for over 4 generations.
I'm proud to be part of the next generation that recognises every life is valued and meaningful.
I promise that my professional and qualified funeral directors at Marsden House will assist you when you need it most.
Talk to Marsden House about how you or your loved ones can be remembered.
Waimea Telecommunications, specializing in free-to-air digital television, internet broadband connections, telephone and telecommunications systems. Call Julian Toon at Waimea Telecommunications on 544-4203.
How happy are you with the quality of your digital prints? And how safe are those precious memories stored on your computer? Hi, I'm Simon from Nelson City Cameras. Quality 6x4 prints are easy using one of our 8 photo kiosks. Join our loyalty club and print 30 photos or more, and the photos are only 39 cents each. As a member, you also get 50% off enlargements and other great benefits. But wait, there's even more. Our user-friendly kiosks allow you to create photo books, photo gifts, and even canvases. If you need a digital camera, binocular, tripod, we have a great range and selection, and our advice is free. We have a fantastic range of photo albums and picture frames to suit your needs and your budget. So print your memories, don't hide them, relive them. Come in and meet the team at Nelson City Cameras, Nelson's most experienced camera shop. 25 years serving Nelson.
The Romans are here at the museum, but not for too much longer. If you haven't been to see the machines of the Roman Empire yet, then you'll have until June 30th to do so. Adults can now get in for children's prices after 3 p.m. each day during weekdays only, so put away your excuses and get over to the Nelson Provincial Museum to experience the wonders of the Roman Empire. And the local Merchant Navy Association is holding its June meeting at the RSA in the Suburban Club building on Te Hunanui Drive on the 19th of June at 1:30 p.m. All seafarers past and present are most welcome. And a few events for book lovers of all ages. On Thursday, June 20th from 2 till 2:40 p.m. is the Whistle Stop Storytime. That's at the Nelson Elmers Turner Library, 27 Halifax Street. Join the train of fun with the book Mr. Whistler by Margaret Mayhew with special guest Mayor Aldo Miccio. Come dressed ready to ride with their train theme. For ages 3 to 5 years and caregivers. On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll bring you the latest in news and events from around the region again next week.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
The majority of information in our life comes to us through our vision. With only one set of eyes to last our lifetime, it's important that you look after them. For over 20 years, Visique Harrington Eyecare has led the way in providing the Nelson Tasman region with professional eye care. Our team are committed to providing you and your family with the highest standard of eye care. As part of this commitment, at Visique Harrington Eyecare, we recommend Greally lenses. Greally is a revolutionary lens which repels dust and fingerprints. This means it's easier to clean and stays cleaner longer. Visit us at our Nelson, Richmond and Stoke practices and ask about our Greally satisfaction guarantee.
Looking for a professional web hosting service at an affordable price? EasyWeb offers a money-back guarantee with no hidden costs. EasyWeb have fast and reliable servers and free technical support with daily backups. EasyWeb, your specialist for hosting WordPress websites and blogs. EasyWeb are New Zealand owned and operated, so check it out today. EasyWeb 0800 394 932 or head to the website www.ezi.co.nz.